Presiding Officer, I share the sentiments of the Deputy First Minister and Douglas Ross on this day, the 80th anniversary of D-Day. It is right that we commemorate all those Scottish, British and Commonwealth soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom and liberty in Europe. We will remember them. On Sunday, it was revealed that the SNP will effectively hand back up to £500 million of funding that should have been spent on crucial economic and anti-poverty projects across Scotland. That is simply a scandal. And it happened when Kate Forbes was Finance Secretary. £158 million already handed back because of SNP failure to meet annual expenditure targets. A further £136 million not spent by the deadline of the end of 2023. And a further £280 million still to be claimed. All confirmed today by the independent experts at the Scottish Parliament. And this is just the latest example of SNP financial incompetence. So can the Deputy First Minister tell me how the SNP has made such a mess of this?
Deputy First Minister.
The member quite clearly today, quoting from that very same Spice report, that they could not find evidence for the £450 million claim. We said that very clearly earlier this week, and the Spice report also indicates that £450 million is not one that they recognise. The points about this story are clear. First of all, final expenditure figures will not be known until the programme formally closes in 2025. To have spent all the money a year in advance, I think, would raise questions itself. Secondly, we do not expect the final figures to be markedly different from elsewhere in the UK or indeed from previous programmes. So our commitment is to spend as much of the money as possible. And of course the irony of the question is that the Labour Party have no intention of ever returning Scotland to Europe and therefore depriving us of European funding indefinitely.
Jackie Baillie.
Do you know what's interesting is the clawback in Scotland is going to be greater than anywhere else in the UK. The 28% is likely to be the scale of return in Scotland. In Wales, it's 9%. In England, 6%. In Northern Ireland, 2%. Can I gently as possible tell Kate Forbes that I used to oversee EU structural funds, so I know how the claims work, and I know the life-changing impact the money can have, and I do not buy her excuses for 1 second, because this comes down to the financial incompetence of this SNP government. At a time when people are crying out for help during a cost of living crisis and our public services are stripped to the bone, it is unforgivable that the SNP are wasting taxpayers' money. And the scale of the incompetence goes even further, Presiding Officer. New analysis published by the Scottish Labour Party today reveals the SNP... Oh, wait for it, reveals that the SNP has wasted £5 billion since they came to office. That includes agency spend costing the NHS over £1.6 billion, delayed discharge costing over £1.3 billion, ferries now £330 million over budget, and the list goes on. Given the real challenges in the country, can the Deputy First Minister explain to the people of Scotland why the SNP is wasting their money? Because that is utterly indefensible.
Deputy First Minister.
What is indefensible is that the party pretending to offer change is shortchanging Scotland by adopting Conservative budget rules. We know that under the Conservatives' budget there was a proposed £19 billion cut to UK public services, and to quote another Labour spokesperson, all roads lead back to Westminster, and therefore there is profoundly difficult choices ahead if the Labour Party continue with their plans of adopting Tory rules. Rachel Reeves has said that there is no more money. She's made a virtue of that. And when you look at the money coming to the NHS alone, it's less than what the Conservatives were promising. When it comes to the Scottish Government's position on the budget, we look at the EU structural funds, look at the projects that have benefited from it. From the Highlands to the Lowlands, there has been significant benefit. We will continue to maximise the funding that is available to ensure that we tackle child poverty, grow the economy and meet net zero.
Jackie Baillie.
Well, that was a desperate response from the Deputy First Minister. She had no answer for the £5 billion of waste generated under her watch, and she knows that she is misleading this chamber because there will be no return to austerity under Labour. Do you know, her attack is straight out of the Tory playbook. And is she not aware that the people of Scotland can see right through that very desperate spin from the SNP? People are tired of the chaos, they're tired of the sleaze, they're tired of SNP politicians not treating Scottish taxpayers' money with respect. Failing to use millions of pounds isn't treating the taxpayer with respect. Wasting £5 billion of public money isn't treating the taxpayer with respect. Defending Michael Matheson and his £11,000 iPad bill isn't treating the taxpayer with respect. People across Scotland are sick of the SNP putting party before country and sick of the financial incompetence that they end up paying for. Last year, Kate Forbes attacked Hamza Youssef, saying that continuity wouldn't cut it. But she seems to have failed to learn her own lesson, because all we have heard today is more of the same. Is there any wonder that the people of Scotland are crying out for change from 14 years of Tory chaos and 17 years of SNP
Thank you, Ms Baillie. Deputy First Minister.
Crying out for change, and they're not going to get it with Labour, that is for sure. And let me start with a point of consensus, that I think the public do want to be treated with respect, and they are tired of spin. And Labour have spent this week accusing the Conservatives of spinning numbers. And that's precisely why I think there's the air of hypocrisy right now in terms of the figures that Jackie Baillie has come to this chamber with. Because at the end of the day, Labour have to answer a question from the Institute for Fiscal Studies. They have said that Labour are effectively signing up to sharp spending cuts. They need to have an answer to that, and I have not heard one yet.
Deputy First Minister, I am aware of several contributions on an ongoing basis from these benches. I'd be grateful if you could desist. Deputy First Minister.
And at the end of the day, we are proud of our record, because our most recent budget, using progressive taxation, has seen the Scottish Child Payment increase, has seen the best performing A&E in this country, has delivered for business in terms of slashing or abolishing rates for businesses, and has made Scotland the top destination outside London for foreign direct investment. That is a record to be proud of, but it would be a lot easier to deliver these game-changing policies if we didn't have Tory austerity and repeat.